When most people think of a bicycle, they think of it as a vehicle or device that's used for recreation. And most things that come to mind are, let's take the bikes down the park, let's ride around the river, enjoy some time with a family, stop for a picnic or a barbecue, and enjoy the bicycle that brings the family or other people together. But the bicycle has morphed into something quite different in modern times. So let's have a discussion about what has become of the bicycle in the last 10 to 20 years. The bicycle has developed significantly over about the last 20 to 30 years, and the first was the introduction of carbon fibre. Now, carbon fibre could be made quite a lot lighter than aluminium and steel counterparts, and the biggest beauty of composites is that they could get away from uniform structures and make the shapes any way they like. They could also change the way that there's flex or strength in different parts of the composite construction. So it gave the designers far more freedom in the manufacturing of the bicycle. Now, this is today where we've had, if we look back over the last 20 to 30 years, how we've seen quite different shapes designed, curved top tubes, even some one-piece sections in the bicycles, and we've even had with the Cervelo type device, with the P5X, the easy seat construction, which does not have a seat tube on it. So they've been able to do some very dramatic designs with the carbon fibre, and this has really been a real revolution in the bicycle industry. Well, transmissions on most bikes have relatively stayed the same. There has been some internal hub designs and belt designs and so forth, but most bikes that we see around the place have a derailleur type construction, a chain cassette, and that system has been around for quite a number of times, although they've added some extra gears as we've gone along. But on the front rings, we actually have had some significant changes in the bottom brackets. They went to from a screw thread to a press fit thread, and this has probably been in bicycles probably for the last 15 years, and it was pushed heavily and you almost couldn't buy a bike with a threaded bottom bracket at one stage. And now they've brought them back because the bicycle industry could not keep the bottom bracket quality control consistent enough for the press fits to work without causing problems of premature failure of bearings and also creaking in the bottom bracket with the BB30 design. So now we've gone back to a technology that's about 20 years old. But in the whole scheme of things, how that actually works, the crankset and the pedals and the chain rings has stayed pretty consistent. Then we have the aids that are supposed to give us information on our fitness performance, so we can ride and we can know what our watts are, we can know how fast we're going, and we can see our cadence, we can see our speed, we can see all of these other parameters. We can even have training programs so we can follow a consistent exercise regime over and over again, and this has all been built into cycle computers. And cycle computers have now been made so they can connect to other components on the bicycle, like lights and power meters and all sorts of other things, or heart rate monitors that are fitted onto you to give you this added information so you can keep your training consistent in all types of different weather conditions. But the problem with all of this and this advancement in the bicycle industry, it's getting us further away from what most people see the bicycle as a recreational device to spend time and enjoy with their family, have a bite to eat, enjoy the scenery that they've taken their bikes on so they can explore those parts where normally you can't take your car easily. So the bicycle now has become like a Formula One device in the bicycle industry. And that's great because people who are into tech and all that are really interested, like me. I'm really interested in that sort of stuff. So that's why I make these videos and talk about it. But with that, there has become a certain amount of hype or exaggeration of what these bicycles really can offer with all of this expensive componentry that you're actually putting on your bike. Now, these top aero performance bikes at best are offering around about a minute over 40 kilometers advantage. So I think the Cervelo S5 when it came out was a little bit over a minute, and the Rebel Ultra is about 74 seconds over a 40 kilometer segment. Now, with different speeds that does vary, but to be really honest, it's not really that much when you talk about how long it takes to ride 40 kilometers, which probably would take you over an hour, probably maybe even an hour and a half, depending on how fast you're going. So it's actually a very small amount. And if we actually compare that to people who race, like in crit races or the pro peloton, people can put out a burst of energy and make a breakaway from the main group or the peloton and hold 1 to 2 minutes advantage, even sometimes more, for quite a considerable amount of time before they're caught, or may actually get away and not be caught, especially if the group is big enough so they can also draft as well. So it just goes to show that having a bit more fitness makes so much more difference than changing the performance of the bike. It still is relatively a fitness sport, not a performance bicycle sport, because from a mid-range bike to a top-range bike, the advantage you get is really still quite small. But the price that's reflecting that is huge. And now we're even going into the area of not just, hey, this is outright performance of the bike. We're going into the area of ease of use. And we have electric gears. Now people might go, yeah, it doesn't miss gears as much, but really the mechanical systems are really about 95% of the electric systems. I mean, okay, yeah, you might be able to get a very slight faster change on the front and you might miss a gear 1 in 100, but there's really a not in it. The electric systems do not give you any real advantage as far as performance goes for riding as making advantage over other riders. And then we even have things like disc brakes. Now, even if you argue disc brakes work better, and we all believe that, how often are you using your brakes in a crit race? How often are you using your brakes in in the pro peloton? Brakes slow you down. You minimize your use of using them on a bike, and everyone knows who races that you need to maintain your momentum. Maintaining your momentum on the bike is the key, because you're not using energy to brake, you're not using energy to gain that speed back up. You're using the angle of the course to carry that speed for the corner, so then you don't have to do as much accelerating on the other side when you come out of the corner. So if we go right back to the beginning to what most people see as a bike, as a device to enjoy our environment, the fresh air, their family, and the food that they may have after that ride, we have become to a very cold and harsh existence of what the bicycle has now become. And the bicycles today are not the freedom machine that most people see them to be. Most of them have to be connected up once a week to the power supplies. You can charge up your gears and your computers and your lights and all these things, all these accessories that we now put on your bike. And I'm guilty of that as well. But when you sometimes think of it, oh yeah, I've got to charge my power meter. Oh yeah, I've got to charge my computer. Oh yeah, I've got to charge my lights. It does somehow take away from that pure simplicity of the bicycle. Well, guys, leave your comments down below. What do you think about the bicycle and how it's become what it is today, and there's this cold, hard performance angle that's being sold in the bicycle industry? Well, anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to leave it, and I will catch you next vid. Cheers.